Well, hello again. Welcome back to another edition of Facebook Shower Door Pros Live. Glad you could join us. Hey, if you haven't tried it, you should go ahead and click on that link in the description that will bring you into our Zoom call here, and you can participate. Tonight, we really have a special treat. Our own Brandon Nicastro has agreed to come in and share some of his, secret mojo about how to do these really nice grid type enclosures that everybody is clamoring for, and no one seems to be able to figure out how to produce or put together. And Brandon really has dialed this in. And if you've seen any of his work, I mean, he's kind of taken it to the next level. I mean, there's just the old school kind of black grids that you've seen, and probably a lot of us have done those. Brandon has done these in like other finishes. And well, anyway, I'm going to let him talk about it. So without any further ado, please welcome Brandon Nicastro.
What's going on, everybody?
How you doing, Brandon?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
So we're going to talk about grid showers. I mean, it's been a hot topic for probably, I feel like at least in Arizona for, I don't know, 6 years now. Just when you think they're going away and the trend's going to run out, they just keep getting more and more popular. So we've done them in different ways. We built them out of steel. We've done them in the beginning with steel enclosures. So I think back in like late 2015, early 2016, I saw Dustin Anderson doing them for Anderson Glass in Texas, and he was doing the steel enclosures. So we started getting requests for those. So we started looking into doing steel ones, and we've done quite a few steel ones. But as it was going on, I was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this without steel, because the problem is with steel, you can powder coat it, you can do all that, but eventually water will still rust from the inside out in a shower unit being powder coated or whatnot, even if you have it sealed up. So eventually it's going to rust, it's going to deteriorate. And I mean, it can take a long time, but when someone's buying a steel grid shower enclosure, they're putting it in probably a really, really nice house, and they're not going to want they don't want their shower to start deteriorating. So we started coming up with an idea of, well, let's just start wrapping it. And I'm not saying we're the first one to do this by all means, but it was an idea that I had. It was like, man, there's got to be a better way to take a frameless shower door, a heavy glass 3/8 or 1/2 inch, and wrap these things in channel, and then apply grids to it and leave the grids just on the outside and not have grids on the inside, so it's easy to clean. So we started doing it. We started experimenting. The problem we ran into was it looked like crap from the inside. You had air bubbles, you had all different stuff. So over a lot of R&D, we came up with a process to be able to apply the tape the right way to have no air bubbles on our showers at all. So actually, when we do a grid shower and we apply grids, we guarantee no air bubbles on our shower doors. So when you look at the inside of the grids, it looks the same as the outside, but you can squeegee it and all that, and makes it easy to clean. So long process. It takes, and it's my installers. Those are the guys out there doing it, right? Like I've helped them with it. I've done some, but they're the ones out there that have kind of perfected this and come up with little ideas and little tricks and stuff. And I'm giving it away tonight, so they'll probably yell at me for it, but it is what it is. Everyone's got to learn, right? It makes all of us better to be able to build these things better. And there's different companies that offer different solutions. We've done printed grids from GGI in New Jersey. We've used HMI out of their Wound Tech plant out of Boston for different printed applications. We never used the pre-applied stuff. We've always just ordered our own stock material and applied a certain 3M tape. And then we started getting requests for different colors, chrome, antique brass, satin brass, brushed nickel, white, taupe, a lot of different colors. So we started doing them in these colors. And one of the little tricks to that is like, you can powder coat white, so that's not a big deal. You can powder coat taupe, but chrome, we found chrome grids. I can't remember where we found, I want to say Morris Industries was where we found chrome grids, but in satin brass, you can powder coat for the most part as well. But like antique brass and brushed nickel, you're not powder coating that to match. So one of the little tricks that we came up with was taking U-channel and ripping U-channel down on a table saw. And if you rip U-channel down on a table saw, you can use the wall of the U-channel because it's finished on the top and the bottom. And if you rip it correctly, you still have a finished top edge and a finished bottom edge, and the tape's going to cover the rip mark on the wall of the channel. So on those ones, we're able to just rip down channel and create a grid. Then you come with the problem of the tape. So antique brass, you're not going to find antique brass colored tape. So
He's giving away his trade secrets.
So you're gonna there's white tape that you can use, that there's gray tape that you can use for chrome or brushed nickel. Satin brass, we did a really big satin brass one. We actually gridded the inside and the outside because it was so big it didn't really even get water on the glass to do that. But the hardest one was the antique brass with tape, because you have black tape and you're going to see black from the inside or whatever. So we applied it with silicone, and it's a nightmare to do with silicone, but if you tape it off, you silicone, it's a couple-day process because you got to tape it off, let the silicone ooze out and not have any air bubbles in the silicone. You got to make sure the silicone's essentially painted on the grid, applied, tape the grid on, and that's a nightmare, but it could be done. And we charge a lot of money for these grids. And what we've trialed was, like I said, we've done the printed stuff and we've done the grid stuff. And the majority of our customers want the grid feel. The printed stuff is cool, they like it, but they want to be able to see it, touch it, and have the metal protrude off the glass, and all that. So that's the majority of the stuff we do. We don't do any of the steel stuff anymore, just because of any issues that we run into. We haven't ran into any issues, but we just got away from doing that and doing the grid stuff. And I'll share my screen and show you some of the showers that we've done. And let's see. All right, you guys see this? I got a whole grid shower thing. So I'll go through a couple unique ones that we've done. So this one right here, this was a all steel, looked like a phone booth, an old phone booth, but this was an all steel one. This was probably one of the first steel ones that we did. And it's still good today, and then the steel's a little more bulkier than doing the aluminum grid stuff. And there are companies out there that make the aluminum grid showers that you can buy. Like I think Coastal sells it, but essentially what it is, it's just a 1/4-inch framed unit with the grids applied to it. So it's still, you have that flimsiness to it. And with the frameless glass wrapped in channel, it's a little more rigid. So we've done wine cellars with gridded material. So this was another steel one that we built with grids. And this we actually took, you can't really see it from here, but we took essentially L angle, and the L angle is like protruded like the old sash windows where it's coming out like a V and a point. So that's how it's built. So it's kind of 3D almost. It's not flat on the glass. So the V's sticking out on the grids here. And then we did an operable transom for them.
Wow, that's really nice looking.
Yeah, that was a fun but pain in the butt shower. This is one of our favorite showers we did right here. It was an awesome customer. It's full steam shower. This is the satin brass one I was talking about that we did for a designer, double paired pair door or 2 doors, operable transoms. We ended up wrapping the inside and out because of the tape. And it was such a big shower, we weren't worried about too much water getting on there and causing issues.
Mhm.
This is the antique brass one right here that we did.
So now has that got the same metal on the inside too? The
That one
antique brass?
we did that. We put that one on with silicone.
Okay. Wow.
This is brushed nickel one. This is a taupe one we just finished not too long ago in Austin. So you can see the cool taupe color. This is one of my all-time favorites. Oh, this white one. And we use white tape on that one. This was a cool one with an operable transom we did out of the fixed panel. And then you can see right here. So this is the inside, and it's really hard to see because it's dark, but you can see, so there's no air bubbles on the inside of the grid. And here's a better angle of it. And you see how clean it looks from the inside. It almost looks like it's just printed, and all it is the tape. So, and the way we do that is, I'm going to stop. Here's a unique one we did. So it was a big splash panel. And what we did was we ran a header and attached the header to the walls as support on the grid shower. So it all kind of blended together.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So, and then I'll stop sharing. I'll go more into that. And if anyone wants to see a specific picture that they saw, I can pull them back up in a little bit. But so the way we do it, we lay all our grids out with a laser. And then we use tape. So we'll tape the bottom where it goes, and then we'll run like blue masking tape on where it goes, and then we'll run the grid tape actually on the glass. Because if you run it on the grid itself, what's going to happen is that's what's going to create the air bubble. When you go to place the grid on the glass, you're going to capture the air bubbles. So you got to roll it onto the glass first, and you can use like a back of a flat razor blade when you're rolling it on, but use blue tape as your tape line to roll it on. And then we use a little thicker tape. So grids are 3/4 of an inch. We'll use 1-inch tape. That way we have a little overlap and we can cut it off later. So when you roll it on, or back of a pry bar, so you can just roll it on nice and tight and keep those air bubbles out of it, and then tuck the corners in. Like I said, it's time consuming, and I would say the majority of our guys hate to do grids. Like every time there's a grid shower, they hate the grid showers. And we get a lot of requests for them. So you tape it onto the glass, and then you're gonna place we do our verticals first, and then we'll do our horizontals. The verticals are the hardest to put on to keep the tape straight when you're doing a long vertical run, especially if it's like an 84-inch shower and you're doing a vertical run. And then we'll cut all our horizontals in after that. When it comes to a 90-degree corner, we will just do a grid vertical on each side of the glass to cap the corner, and then butt everything into that to finish off the grid. What gets really tricky is when you're trying to order it to know what deducts there are, or when you're laying it out. So essentially, all you got to think about is when you're ordering a grid shower and you're going to wrap it in channel, just think about how thick the back wall is on that channel. So it's almost 1/8 of an inch. So if you just go through where all your deducts typically are and take an extra 1/8 inch off where there's going to be channel going, you're going to be fine, because you're just compensating for the thickness of that channel to wrap it on. And there's a couple ways you can put that channel on. You can either run silicone in your channel and then blue tape your channel on to hold it until it dries. You can run VHB tape in spots inside the channel and stick it on. Most of the time we'll just silicone it and stick it on that way. As far as a sweep goes, you can use the black sweeps, but the problem with that is they're more of like a gloss finish compared to like a matte finish on those sweeps, and they're a little more brittle. What we found is the black sweeps are a little more brittle than the clear stuff. So what you can do is, if it's a 3/8 shower, you can actually, and you're wrapping in 3/8 channel, you can take a 1/2 inch sweep, clear sweep, and slip that over the channel on the bottom, and then it looks black when it's on there, except for the drip edge. So that works really well. Or you just compensate and bring your, I have a grid shower in my house actually, and I don't even have a sweep on it. I just compensated and brought the channel down a little bit and closed up that gap on the bottom towards the curb. And then what we do is we silicone the whole inside perimeter so water doesn't get into that channel. Because as we all know, when water gets into channel, the water sits in there, and the aluminum, the water create a gas that creates all the hard buildup and stuff. So try to seal all that up. And then we wrap them all in the field. We don't do it in the shop. It's all done afterwards in the field as it's being installed. So you can either 45 your corners and wrap it all that way, or you can block your corners. But when you're blocking your corners, it's a little more tricky to lay out because you got to make sure your open ends are not, your verticals are the open ends so you don't see them. And then you can fill those with silicone. But so it's a little tricky when you're blocking the corners if you don't 45 the corners.
Brandon, do you got any pictures of these during installation, like during the progress?
I don't. I'll get some and I'll post some in a thread or whatever this week or whatever. I'll dig some up and see if I have some. I don't really have too many of the like in progress stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a video of one of my guys installing one as well, like a little clip or something. So kind of see it, because it's really easy to talk about it, but for some people it's probably going over a lot of people's heads, like how to do this stuff, because it is pretty tricky. So I'll try to get some stuff for that.
So if you've got a door and the half panel that's sitting on a wall, but the vertical wall is, you must have a tolerance where if it's more than a 1/2 inch out of plumb, are you doing a filler behind the channel, like a tapered filler to fill that in, or are you trying to float the glass inside your channel to compensate?
Are you talking about on a low wall, if the low wall's out right there?
No, I'm talking about the vertical.
Uh-huh.
In other words, you're starting to do grids and you want your spacing equal. And obviously, if your wall's out, you have to compensate for that. And you don't want your vertical going like that, because then your space will be different. So you're going to have to build that out square. So there must be a calculation that you have that if it's more than 3/8 out or more than a 1/2 inch out.
So what we do is when we go to install the shower, so if the wall, let's say the wall is out 3/8 on the hinge side, glass is going to get cut 3/8 out. We're going to build it we're going to wrap it tight how it would be out, and then we're going to start from our tightest point and say it's 28 inches on the bottom and 28 1/4 or 3/8 on the top. We're going to start at 28 at the bottom, then we're going to create our grids that way and start at the bottom and plumb it up from there. And then we'll just have that one top grid, or those grids will be a little bit bigger as they get up, but you're talking 1/16 of an inch all the way up for each grid or something like that. A little bit.
Yeah,
big.
I wasn't talking about the door itself. I'm talking about the fixed panel sitting on a half wall. Right. And the wall, let's say the wall's 3/4 out of plumb for whatever reason, and they don't fix the tile. So it's way out. Are you doing a filler behind that channel of metal, or how are you getting it so that your grids look good? You don't see that last grid 3/4 out.
We're gonna just the wall, it's gonna just be out on the wall. You don't really notice it as long as your vertical grid in that panel is gonna be plumb. You're gonna have a little bit of a bigger box, but we've never had an issue where it really looked bad.
Okay.
And I guess maybe if it's an inch out or something like that, or 3/4 of an inch out, you might be able to notice something. But for the most part, we're just gonna order the glass out of square, and then we're gonna plumb up that next vertical grid and go from there. So everything off of that wall is gonna be plumb and square boxes, and then all of that wall are just gonna be out of square on those grids. So one of the biggest things is if you know you're going to do a grid shower and you can get into that shower early while they're building it, is going to be huge, because the layout. So what happens a lot is you have a 90-degree shower with a notch, and then you're kind of trying to build the grid, like how many boxes off of that bench or whatever. And it gets really tricky. So sometimes, and let me see if I can find one really quick and show you. Go back in here. So you can see like this one. So this one, we actually, the top grid, the boxes were a little bit taller. We had to compensate. So we were able to build all the way up, and then the bottom was a little bit smaller because we had to start right here.
Yeah.
And then we had to kind of do calculations to make it right. So if you can get there before they're doing it, you can kind of calculate. So this one right here. So this is my house right here. This is my shower. So when I built my shower, I was able to make it to where almost all the grids all the way across were the same size, because I was able to lay it out from the beginning. So that's going to be the best, is if you can get out there before tile during framing and lay it out with them, because a lot of people are going to look right past that.
Mhm.
So we've had a few that were kind of goofy because of that reason. That one actually worked.
Yeah, I've encountered that too, actually.
So like this one right here. So this grid ended up being funky right here because it had to match the channel going up the riser. So we had to have a smaller boxes right here, and then everything had to be built off these boxes. So we were able to kind of keep it the same everywhere besides like in here because of that. But I've seen guys do it to where they don't put channel on the door where the door seams are and stuff, and they try to make everything even, so they leave channel off in some of the areas of the seams, and it kind of looks weird when you do it that way. It almost looks, even if it's doubled up and the grids look a little bit better, me personally, I think it looks better if you just wrap it and grid it that way instead of because then you see these extra lines in there and it kind of throws everything off.
You have the same picture of that door in a closed position?
Right here.
All right, so the door jamb next to the handle is double wall, the door plus your vertical.
Yes,
for
it
your
is.
grids.
So
On both sides of the door, yeah.
So it's a little bit, so when you look at it, it's going to be thicker in that area. So you can see it. So you can see it like right here. So you got your channel, and then it's going to be doubled up right here. But what you can do is, I don't know if you can see it on the one I showed you of my house, because we did it on my house. It's not as thick right here. We use shallow channel. So we back-to-back shallow channel right here. So then you're only talking an inch. And so it's only a quarter of an inch bigger. So you can go back-to-back with shallow channel on your door jambs, or where the door is. So you're not doing that. So that's, I mean.
Hey, Brandon, what's on the corner of your shower that looks like a sleeve over?
It is just a sleeve over. I just did a sleeve over SOGC 90 right there, and it just butts into it. So you can do a header. I mean, you can do a header all the way across it. A little more expensive to do a header, but so we just put, this sleeve over in it. You can even, since everything's covered, you can actually VHB tape this corner if you wanted, and 45 this channel and do it that way. But I think it just looks a little cleaner with that being able to butt to that SOGC 90 sleeve over. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question about the taping. I found a 3/4 inch tape that's like perfectly sized for the grids, but I was still having a little bit of air bubble. So the big takeaway I have here is applying it to the glass first. I think that's awesome. And now you said you're using 1 inch wide. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then you put the grid on and then you trim the tape off of it. Is that right?
And that tape. So just take so you're going to have a little overhang on the tape. So you're just going to take a razor. It's easier with a razor knife, because you can actually cut it a little bit easier than a flat razor blade. And then you just peel it off. So what we do is we'll spray it with glass cleaner and then cut it. And then that glass cleaner helps pull it off, because that tape's really hard to pull off that glass once you get it on there. We use a 3M tape, and I'll get a picture of that, but Home Depot sells it. It's a red 3M back tape at Home Depot, the black tape. That's what we use. I think I might have some in my house. I'll go try to find some here in a minute, but that's where we get it. And then the other stuff we just order on, what's that? Uline, ordered some of it on Uline.
Uline, yeah.
We tested clear tape. We just can never find a clear tape that we can apply without air bubbles.
I found some from Granger, and that's where I got it. It was the 3M, and it had the red
Yep.
tape, but that was the 3/4 inch. So I don't know if they have the 1 inch or not.
So you can do, some of my guys like the 3/4 inch and some like the 1 inch. If you do the 3/4 inch, there's a way to do it. So if you tape, essentially what you got to do is you put your, let's say your blue tape on your grid, right? And you're going to have your line, you're going to tape your grid up there and you're going to hold it. And then what you're going to do is then when it's taped up there, you're going to run your blue tape all the way across where it's perfect. And then you're going to flip your grid over and put it and then do the same thing. So then you have blue tape that makes a little track to put your 3/4 inch tape in perfect. I personally think it's a little bit harder and it's easier just to order a 1 inch tape and cut that excess off.
Okay. Good pointers. It's
And
all
as
worth trying.
As far as grids, we used to get all of our grids from HMI. They would come powder coated already. Powder coating is expensive when you're powder coating these little long grids. Like it gets super expensive when you're sending a whole bunch in. So we used to order them from HMI. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they couldn't get them anymore. They had issues. And then we went to FHC. FHC had a 5/8 grid that was like more of like a mirror, like a mirror grid.
Right.
But the problem with it is it had a little taper on one side.
I know
So
exactly what you're talking about.
So it had this taper on one side. So when you try to butt them together, you had a taper on one side and it looked funny. But what you can do with those grids, and we use them still, is flip the taper over and use that on the tape side and it's flat on the other side and the taper just disappears with the tape. So you can still butt those grids up and have no issues with that. So that's where FHC is where we've been getting them. CR Lawrence has had those plastic ones out for a while. We never got into them. Southeastern had they had one that had this little, they had a line down the center of it as pre-applied and it had a little flex to it. And they said that's where the air bubbles were coming from because there was no flex. So they had this little flex in it where you can apply it and tape it. And they said, once you tape it, the air bubbles will disappear. I've had one little piece taped on a piece of glass in my showroom for the last 4 years and it still has air bubbles and it hasn't disappeared. So, so we still use we still use the FHC ones.
Nice.
Are those 8-foot lengths max?
I think they're 144 or 120 or I think they're 120.
Are you getting them? So you're getting them freight?
Yeah. So we'll like put an order of those together when we're ordering a lot of headers and stuff like that. So we'll stock up on headers and channel and that's what we do is we just do like a bulk order of channel, header and grids. So we're paying less freight. So it's not just onesie twosie things.
So you do not do joints midway?
No, we'll do full verticals all the way up and then we'll just piece in horizontals.
Gotcha.
You can do it the other way if you wanted. We've had to ship them to other locations. One of our other locations. So we'll cut them down that way because to, 8 feet or whatever, so we can get them on a truck. And then you can either do the horizontals first and then do the verticals that way and piece those in. So they're not as long.
Are you predominantly using 3/8 glass?
For the most part, unless it's big, we'll use 1/2 inch if it's oversized. But like our rule of thumb is anything over 84, we're typically defaulting to 1/2 inch on shower doors. But if it's a grid shower, we'll go taller because it's wrapped in channel and it's a little more, it stiffens that up a little bit. And then all the grids on there.
So I'm just thinking you're bringing in 2 thicknesses of channel then,
Yeah.
2 widths.
Yeah.
Brandon, what does this do? And I'm asking questions. Somebody else can jump in if they. What does this do to manpower? Manpower is an issue, and you said these take a long time. So, do you feel you're charging enough? And do the guys hate them because of the time, or because how meticulous they have to be?
It's how meticulous you have to be. Time wise, I mean, a shower will take you all day long. So when you're pricing a shower, you got to understand that how much money would you make in it? So I see people trying to price grids different ways, and we came up with the formula that works for us. We have a square footage price so we price a shower regular, what do we sell to a customer? And then we have a square footage price that we add on top of that square footage of that shower for grids if they want grids. So it's an option that we add on to that. So what happens is you got to know, I can do 3 door and panels by the time I can do a 90-degree shower wrapped in grids. So what kind of, it's better to do 3 door and panels if you can. So we built it in a way to where if we're going to do that, we're going to make the same amount of money, if not more, doing a grid shower than the other way. We don't want to lose. We don't want to sit there and spend all day on a shower and lose potential money because we could have been installing just regular frameless showers. So that's what you got to come up with, is how long it takes you. And I would say, my guys are fast, and I would say, a 90-degree shower is going to take all day long. And there's some days where, you have to go back for a couple hours to, wrap it up. So.
Hey, I saw that Shannon had put a question into the chat box about how it looks at the vertical, where it meets vertically, horizontally, right, Shannon?
Yeah, you kind of answered that, because like when you were talking about ripping your channel, the channel has a little bit of a bevel to it too. So I was wondering how well that lined up, and do you have a technique for getting that butted up really good so there's no gap in between?
Yeah, so you just cut them a little bit bigger, so you can kind of flex them in there a little bit so it tightens up that gap right there. And then obviously the grids are as thick as the wall, the channel, and then you're adding tape to it. So that's why it's critical to have a thinner tape. And when you do get to the edge of that channel, they do protrude out just a little bit when you're butting it to the edge. So on the grids, we'll paint the edge black where we cut it and just soften that up a little bit. We'll hit it with a little piece of sandpaper and just soften that edge up a little bit and paint it black so it kind of goes away.
The metal grids are even worse in that regard. We don't like to use them because they stick out so much from the U channel that we put on the edges.
Yeah, if you get that that 3M tape, it's less than a 1/16 of an inch thick. So it's only going to stick out, a 32nd off that edge. And you can feel it for sure. You just got to kind of make it go away with that paint marker and softening it up.
How about the FHC grid that you were referring to? Is it thinner?
It is a little thinner, so those do line up a little bit better than the HMI stuff, or if we have to rip down channel.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems to me too that putting the tape on the glass first also will help with that issue of like daylight coming through the joints. I mean, if you're putting your tape on your grid and then applying the grid, and it's not coming quite, up to it, if there's just the tiniest little hairline of a gap there, you can get daylight through there.
Yeah.
Brandon, just to clarify, where you're painting the edges black, are you assuming, is that only on black grids, or are you painting them black even if you're doing the taupe or the white or the brushed?
Just on black grids, we'll try to match whatever color we're doing on that edge.
So when you're doing those brushed ones, what are you using for a color?
On
The brushed bronze.
So the brushed bronze one or the antique one, we're just going with it. We're just trying to soften it up the best we can and put it on there. So it doesn't stand out.
It doesn't. Okay.
It doesn't stick out enough to where you have a shiny edge. It's not like looking at the open end of a piece of U channel on a shower when you open it. Yeah. It's not like that. I mean, it's barely anything. And then all the colors we're able to paint if we can get something to match it.
Are you getting any push? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we found some nail polish works pretty good. You can get a variety of colors that kind of blend in there.
Yeah, that works good. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Any pushback on pricing?
Not too much. And we got to a point where we were like, man, if we're going to just keep doing these, it is what it is. We don't have to do the grid showers. And I feel like we just became the company to go to for grid showers. And so we're just going to name our price on them, and it is what it is. We get some customers that it's too expensive and they'll just go a different route. We'll still get the shower door, but they just won't do grids. And that's why when we price them, we give them an option for grids. and it's not built into the price. So that way, if they decide they want to, they can see the difference. I mean, the grid's add-ons is almost as much as the whole shower. So.
Mhm.
And then most of the builders that and like interior designers that are coming to us for them most of the time, they're pricing it price comparison to a steel shower. So even with the added margin of doing the extra labor for the grid pattern, we're still coming in significantly lower than a steel shower would. So it's you're still winning it in a good way over there because saving them money that way.
And the thing is the grid showers turned into gridded mirrors. Like people wanted gridded mirrors, then wrap mirrors and then wrapped shower doors, and everything is like gone backwards now. We're framing everything again, and just with frameless glass, and we're just framing it all. Wine cellars have been pretty big. I'll show you this one we did. It was one of my favorite ones right here that we did wrapped. We probably did this 4 years ago.
Nice.
Nice, real nice. Yep.
So a lot of stuff like this, just simple
Mhm.
wrapping it and going away. This was a steel one that we did, and I think we ended up adding a door later. I personally had to build the door because I didn't have a welder at the time, and I had to match the door and learn how to weld and do all that stuff and build the door. There's a picture somewhere. It actually came out good. So anyone got any other questions or anything that I can?
Yeah, on the steel ones, was that a grid inside and out then, or you said it was L-shaped?
It was only outside on all the steel ones. We still made it to where it had an overlay on the outside and nothing on the inside, so they can still clean it pretty easy. And the steel ones are cool. We went on to do a lot of steel, like wine cellar stuff, and we're able to build those out of steel. So, and it was a lot of gridded stuff. But as far as the showers, we just kind of went away from it.
Mhm.
On that shower that you did that had the L angle that
Mhm.
protruded from the glass, how did you attach that?
It was welded.
How did you attach it to the glass?
Oh, it was free floating on the outside. So it was just a welded, they're welded on the ends, and then the glass just went in and butted up against it.
I see. Okay. It didn't
Everett
rattle?
would like to see gridded mirrors. I think we have a few of those in the drive that you can search real quick. Some pretty cool examples.
Yeah, I just deleted that comment. I Googled it.
Oh, okay,
But I'd
sweet.
still like to see it. I definitely still like to see it because I've never seen that before. I'd never even heard of it.
We have squares and then we have the abstract ones.
Yeah, we do flat bar on mirrors pretty regular. We've talked a little bit about it before. The application is pretty similar. A high bond tape, flat bar edge, and then you can grid it out the same, but it's a very similar application. Much easier because you're not matching lines on 90s very often with mirror,
Right.
but similar app.
And we build a ton of, we're backed up right now with steel mirror frames. We build steel mirror frames in house, and we're backed up with steel mirror frames.
I'm always getting the J mold request, but not like actual gridded frames. That's pretty cool.
So we do a grid.
I'm trying to offer that.
We don't do a lot of gridded mirror frames, but the frame mirrors we do is essentially like an L angle. And then the mirror is built out to come to the edge. So it's flush on the edge. So it looks frameless. And you just have that thick band all the way around the side of the mirror frame.
That's pretty cool.
How are you mounting to that?
Similar to French cleat. So we have straps that go on the back of the mirror frame so they can just take them and hang them and pull them down. We'll use a piece of J channel that goes into the wall, and then we'll have a piece of steel on the back that we can just hang it on the J channel on the wall, just like a French cleat.
Gotcha.
I would love to see images of those if you don't mind sharing those, Brandon, as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig through. We just reorganized this drive, and I'm trying to find it all.
Well, Wasn't trying to put you on the spot, just if
No,
you,
it's
when you
fine.
get those other images. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Now,
fine.
now.
Oh, which ones are you looking for?
The mirrors.
Oh, just do grid mirror in the drive. I got like 18 labeled that are already pop up. Hit enter. The first things you're gonna see is a bunch of docs, but below that you'll see all the pics.
The fact that you guys can find photos at all is just amazing to me. You're gonna have to
No one
show
cares
me
about
some
naming anything correctly until it's 3 years later and everything.
That is just incredible. What other questions do we have here?
And just very impressive, Brandon. Very impressive.
Thank you.
I told you he was the man. I told you.
Here we go.
In the question that I had posted on the Facebook group, somebody had suggested using story sticks to get the same spacing between the horizontals. Have you done that before?
No, but that's a good idea. I saw that comment actually you're talking about. That's a good idea.
Hey, Brandon, at the beginning of the call, you had mentioned that you had done, excuse me, the painted on grids from GGI and HMI.
Yeah.
What was the drawback to painting on a grid and then, so you don't have to fuss with the air bubbles, paint on the grid and then apply the grid on top of the paint?
It's just cost.
Cost, okay.
Yeah, it's really just cost, because we went through and we're like, well, you can sandblast it and do it and all that, and it was just easier just to apply it that way. So like, here's a piece in this living room that was gridded mirror right here.
That looks nice.
This was a popular style right here.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of warranty do you give your customers for the grids?
Same thing we do on all of our showers, a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. We have no issues. The grids hold up, just like the shower is going to hold up. I've had my shower for 4 years now, and there's no issues with it. So
beautiful.
Just little details like that. And then I'll go show you the steel ones, kind of how they, so we'll do steel ones that are wrapped like this. Or this is what I was talking about, how they're flush on they come flush, and this just has a band 3/4 inch, 1 inch, or whatever it is on the outside. Rounded, we do a lot of these rounded corner ones.
And you're fabbing those in-house, right, Brendan?
Yeah, we fab all these in-house.
And you're sending them out to get powder coated?
Yeah. And then this just different unique one. This one was a pain, but and then they wanted it again at another house 2 years later.
How do you do the rounded corner? Do you just, I guess, cut off the back side of the L, I guess? And then,
yeah, so essentially what we do is we take a flat strap and we'll weld 4 flat straps together and we'll bend it on something so they're all the same, and then we'll cut them on a bandsaw so they're all exactly the same, and then we'll break the welds apart, and then we'll attach it to L angle. So if you can picture, like, you'd have your L angle right here, but it'd be hollow right here in the corner where the radiuses are.
Right.
So you must have somebody just who does that, right? Just a guy who just, that's,
yeah, we have a full-time guy that does steel fab. He does other stuff for us, fabs mirror, a lot of different things for us. We've done a few of these where they're just hanging. So it's back-to-back mirror hanging in this kind of their gym area. But
sometimes I'm jealous of where you guys live sometimes, because a lot of the stuff you guys get is very modern. Like Arizona, you get this modern stuff. You guys down in Florida get this modern stuff. I'm in Boston where everything's just still old. It's just like a whole different style. And I see, like, you know, modern wine cellars and all this, and everybody up here just still wants to do such traditional stuff.
I hear you, Mike. I know what you mean.
You should see
Do you
my
feel
house.
like-
I was you should see my house. My house is a glass box in the middle of the woods. And, you know, the building inspector's like, "You really going to build this?" Yeah, it's, you know, it's modern. I really like it. It's a Southern California home and it's the only way to get it. But so I see this stuff and I'm like, ah, man, I wish we could get more.
Be the change, Michael. Be the guy who makes the change.
You can
in your
try, but
community,
I
man.
don't know.
Come
Boston
on,
is
you can
pretty
do
dug-
it. You can
they're
do
dug
it.
in pretty deep, man. They like, if they could ride horse and buggies around town, downtown, they would do it.
Any other questions on grids or anything? And feel free, anyone could hit me up later on and ask on the side about grids. I'll help you guys out.
I'm just mostly gonna go ahead.
Have you ever done grids on satin etch?
Once.
How did it stick to the satin etch?
It didn't.
Did it?
You can tell by the once.
So we actually flipped the doors inside out, so there's satin etches on the inside of the shower, so they can have grids on the outside.
How did it look?
It looked good. I'll show you a picture of it.
I got a customer that wants it. I'm like, damn it.
But when you shower, doesn't it get transparent?
It was
When the grid
it was
gets
far
wet?
enough. It was far enough away from the water source.
Okay.
Oh shoot, you're right.
So
Yeah,
that
that's
was
cool.
Yeah, it is.
That was it edited. It was a dark picture, but there it is.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yep, we did
Like
it.
that.
Not even thinking about it. Yep, we can grid it. And then we went out there and put on the first grid and was like, oh shit, we got a problem. So
Hilarious.
we flipped it. We never told the customer we flipped it. We flipped it and it's been in there for 5 years. So I think they're good.
That customer's on the call tonight.
Excellent.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean they're cool. I mean, embrace them. I guess they're here. I mean, they're still getting popular. I thought it was going to be a couple years and they'd go away, but they just keep getting more and more popular. Like different designs and all that.
Freaking Pinterest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
How do you
Brandon's
feel?
fault.
How do you feel you do on the mirrors, the metal frame mirrors? I'm always asking money questions. How do you feel you do on those financially?
We do really well because we can fab them up really quick. We can build a mirror frame, in a couple hours and then send it off to powder coat. So we can get them turned around pretty quick. What I've been really trying to figure out how to price them better, make it easier for our staff, because right now it's kind of like a square foot price for the mirror frame that we charge. And if it's too small, that square foot price doesn't work. So you got to add more to it and all that. So I've been trying to figure out how to do it as per linear inch of a mirror frame that we would charge. And it's still kind of calculating funny with the smaller stuff because it's got to be right. So, but our margins are great on those.
Okay. And you guys seem to have developed relationships with powder coat facilities. How did you do that?
Just by taking a lot of work to them.
But I mean, you're looking in the yellow pages for powder coat facilities, or
I actually got referred to one that was by us, that I knew someone that was using him. So I kind of went there and we started using him and built a great relationship. But yeah, I would just search something that's close to you and see. Some mirror frames you can get away with just painting yourself. I mean, we had a paint booth for a while and we were doing exterior doors, like front doors, big doors. And we started painting them ourselves. And then it just became a nightmare because we're like, man, we're a glass shop. We're trying to fab steel stuff here. Now we're trying to paint in this area. And like, we don't even have a big enough space. And, one of the first doors we painted, we went out there. It looked awesome. It was this huge door. Stucco guys came behind us, red stucco tape on us, or stucco, and peeled off their stucco tape and literally peeled off all our paint. It was just raw metal. I'm like, oh shit. Like, so we had to go out there and get it all fixed and everything. But so we're like, let's just powder coat our doors. And then we got out of it because we couldn't price for powder coating our door. We were pricing ourselves like we couldn't charge for it. There was no way. I mean, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars for powder. And then the way we're building these things, it's multiple pieces. And it's just, it was a nightmare to to do that. So the mirror frames, we stuck with mirror frames. We were doing steel cabinets. Those are really popular. And we just got away from all that. And I was like, you know what? We'll just do mirror frames. I could train a guy to weld a mirror frame. So
Greg, I just have one question. What is Yellow Pages?
I was trying to see if you kids were awake tonight. That's what I was trying to do.
Like most people don't even know what a Thomas guide is anymore, right?
Yeah.
I would say the coolest thing about the mirror frame since I came on board with Brandon was it's that differentiator, right? It's like a way to get your foot in the door. If every other glass guy is selling to every interior designer, custom builder, and remodeler out there can do frameless shower doors and frameless mirrors, everyone wants that high design. And by being able to be the differentiator and bring that to the market, like, hey, we don't really do steel, but we can offer those high design mirrors for you. It gets our foot in the door when we wouldn't have got the shower glass in the beginning, but now that's where it's making its money up, I think, more than anything, because it gets us in those bigger homes that we're getting bigger packages of 5 showers plus mirrors, a wine cellar, some glass railing, all under one house. And that's where it like pays for itself, and just that from my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great sale, like from marketing perspective, like it's a great, they look pretty. You can broadcast it, right? Get it out there, gains attention, and then you're bringing more business in the door.
I would say too, like the steel mirror frames, we're competing against like Restoration Hardware, and their stuff is so overpriced. And you're able to build a custom size, and that's where we win. Is you're able to take what they want from Restoration Hardware, but make it to their size essentially, and you win that way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys thinking about like selling those and shipping them out to other glass companies, or not really?
I thought about it. I just don't know if it's worth it. I'm not sure. We have so much.
Let's take a vote.
We have so much other stuff.
The hands.
We're pre-ordering right now for these.
Yeah.
We need to collect all the money up front first, though, and then we'll see.
I was gonna say,
That's right. Get out your
Glass guys,
checkbooks, everybody.
Yeah, everybody wants to pay wholesale.
I don't know a lot about welding. I had a little bit back in high school, believe it or not. When I was in school, they had shop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some welding experience then, but is that like a TIG welder with a little wire? What are you guys using to weld with? And
Just a wire fed MIG.
Yeah.
MIG welder. We started welding with one of those little cracker box ones from Home Depot, the little Lincoln ones that you can buy from Home Depot for like $600. That's where we built our first grid partition out of steel with one of those, and we used it until it died. And then we bought a nice automatic Miller one and stuff. So.
Well, and then you probably have to clean up the welds with a grinder, smooth it up.
Yep.
And then you paint.
Yep. So it's you got to be really careful when you're welding in a glass shop. I'll let everyone. You can ruin a lot of glass. So we learned that one really quick too, especially grinding welds in the glass shop. So we got fire screens and stuff like that to protect everything.
Yeah, painting's not much better, Brandon.
I know, right?
You don't want to do the grinding on the glass table.
Yeah, right.
Rule number one.
That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
feel like it went by
Thank
so
you, Brandon.
quick. I hope I added value to you for this. Like I said, just reach out anytime I can. I've helped a lot of people in this group with grid showers before, so I'll continue to help whoever I can with them. We don't want to be the only ones that do them. We need to let some other people do some of these things.
Good stuff.
Well, I appreciate that, and I might take you up on it.
Yeah.
Hey, before we take off tonight, I see that we've got a few new faces. So if you've never been on this call before, and you would like to, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick? We got about 5 minutes left. It'd be cool to hear from you.
I guess I'll start. I'm Everett. I own Midtex Glass in Liberty Hill, which is about 14 miles west of Georgetown, which is about 10 miles north of Austin. So northwestern central Texas area. I've only started the company since October 5th. Things have been going fast, almost so fast that I was hoping to ease into it a little better, but yeah, it's a good problem to have for sure. But anyways,
It's good. It's good
I'm
to put
glad
a
I got
face-
invited to this.
It's good to put a face to the name. I didn't know that was you. I talked to you plenty of times on Instagram, and I didn't know that was you.
Right. Yeah. I think I need to showcase myself a little more on there probably.
Nice.
But I feel a little
Welcome.
camera shy. not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
keep showing up here too. I mean, love to have you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. I will definitely be back.
Awesome. Who else?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Stefan. I'm new to the GCS team, so gaining a lot of information. Luckily, I got Chance and Brandon to lean on, so just try to take as much information as I can. And this was a ton of product knowledge for me, so just soaking in as much as I can.
Welcome. Congratulations on being with GCS. They're awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool company. It's and I think what's even cooler is getting this community together and watching others, be as impressed as I am, even just finding photos.
Fantastic.
Who else is on here? We got a lot of people. There's 33 people on here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that it? Everybody else is kind of shy. That's okay. I mean, I don't want to single anybody out,
I haven't heard from the wise glass people before.
I know. I see them on the group, but I haven't heard from
Say
them.
hi, Kevin.
You're gonna put me on blast, huh? Oh,
He's doing the max headroom thing. You remember
Yeah,
that?
nice headroom.
my computer's too slow for the camera. I'm Kevin with Wise Glass out here in Dallas. Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Brennan. It was awesome. Helped me out a lot with the graded showers. Definitely takes a lot of time to actually learn them. I got one next week, probably like my 5th or 6th one under my belt, but still it's going to take a lot of time to actually perfect these things. But yeah.
Awesome. Very good. Anybody else want to say hello? Got about 2 minutes.
Kevin's out of Fort Worth, Dallas area. And so if you guys know anyone that needs glass in that area, he does great work. He was a little shy on giving himself a good intro, but he's a perfectionist.
Appreciate it.
He's a perfectionist, does awesome work. Anytime anyone calls us and they're up in the Dallas area, he's my first call to refer work to him because he lives up to our standards for sure.
Hey, there's my wife's new best friend.
Yeah, we got to bring Charlotte to work today. So she got to see what GCS Santa Cruz was like. What'd you think?
Cha-cha.
It was lovely. See?
Yeah. My wife is crazy about Charlotte, so you can see why. All right, who else?
Well,
Sorry, I
I'm not
joined
new,
late,
but
Chris.
I'm not
Hey,
new,
there's
but I do
Rob.
GCS tech stuff. So if you're interested in follow up and have talked to someone about follow up, most likely it was me on the other end. And I help everyone that uses the follow up software and all tech things related, like the Brandon question of where do you find this? I kind of help everyone do that easier in their lives, whatever it pertains to.
Rob's my hero. He's awesome.
Wherever I can save y'all time with automation, help me. I promise they won't take over yet.
There's still a human involved.
For now.
Rob, I think Brandon sent you my email address. I think we'll be talking here soon.
Oh yeah, I
about,
emailed you
follow-up.
about 11:30 at night, which is normal for me. So you might have got mixed in with your spam emails that email you at that hour.
Bro, I'll have to go back and look. I get enough emails. Thanks.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, all right. Hey, there we go. Another record crowd. Of course, I knew Brandon was going to attract a huge crowd. everybody knows Brandon. So thanks so much, man, for being willing to come on and share some of your secrets. I know you didn't give away everything, but
I gave away the house.
you gave away the house. I mean, I think, you talk fast enough to where it's like, man, I only caught about half of what you said, and I could only comprehend about a third of that. So, I mean, if we had you on like 6 more times.
I was told to slow down when I speak too, and I just speak too fast.
No, it wasn't that you were speaking too fast. It was just, there was just a lot of info in there. So thanks, man.
Get in the zone.
All right, everybody. Well, hey, we'll do this again next Wednesday. Be sure to come back. We're going to have Shannon come next week and talk to us. So that's going to be awesome.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon.
All right, everybody.
Intrigued. All
Thank you,
thanks,
Brandon.
guys. Good night.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Good night.
See you guys later.